One of NASCAR's top young prospects adds to his 2024 schedule. Who would you take in a hypothetical NASCAR draft? How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Happy Friday. Today, we're catching up on a couple of stories, some interesting sound bites from this past week. We'll start with Connor Zilisch. Earlier this week, Spire Motorsports confirmed Zilisch will make 3 additional Truck Series starts this season: Richmond, Bristol, Martinsville. He was already scheduled to race at Talladega and Homestead, Miami in the fall, so adding some short tracks to the mix. We know Connor Zilisch is a tremendous young road course racer. Cool to see a variety of ovals on his second half season schedule. On top of the, I believe, 4 Xfinity Series starts he's expected to make separately with Junior Motorsports. Lots of good experience for a young Chevy driver, a young Trackhouse development driver. I keep forgetting that Trackhouse has already signed this kid. He's only 17 years old. You know, with all the talk this week about the NFL draft, young prospects, it had me wondering, where would Connor Zilisch rank on my hypothetical NASCAR draft board? If I was a NASCAR Cup Series team owner and I could pick any driver age, well, what's like college age, 22, 23 and younger, who would I pick? That's a tough call. Lots of good young drivers from different backgrounds with different levels of experience and success. Let's just come up with a hypothetical top 5. Oh shoot, I'm on the clock. Let's go in reverse order. We'll start with number 5. Christian Eckes does not get enough respect, in my opinion. He is 23 years old. You compare that to 17-year-old Connor Zilisch, that's a big difference. But Eckes had 4 Truck Series wins last year. He's already at 2 for this season. He's currently the points leader in the Craftsman Truck Series, and I think people forget that a few years ago, Christian Eckes won the ARCA Menards Series championship. The dude can drive. He deserves a spot on this board. But my next spot would go to Chandler Smith. Maybe this is a little low for Chandler Smith, I'll admit. I would argue of everyone we're about to discuss, he's probably the most Cup ready right now, but I still think he's got ways to go before he's a consistent Cup Series contender. He did well last year in Xfinity with Kaulig, despite Kaulig, I think, being in kind of a down year. He still got a win. He shifted into maximum overdrive this year, though, with Joe Gibbs Racing, already 2 wins on the season. He's leading the Xfinity Series points with a 7.0 average finish. I really like what I'm seeing from Chandler Smith. He's got a little bit of Cup Series experience already under his belt. Chandler Smith would be a fantastic hypothetical draft pick. I think Connor Zilisch slots in the 3 spot. Look, he's really young, only 17, high ceiling, potentially low floor. We don't know exactly what he's going to develop into just yet. So many people in the industry believe he is going to be the next big thing. We've already seen him show incredible pace at Watkins Glen in an ARCA car. He was extremely fast at COTA this year in trucks, despite making a couple of mistakes. That's going to happen when you're a 17-year-old racer on the national stage. I'm convinced Connor Zilisch will grow into a fantastic road course racer. I'd argue he already is. He's a Rolex 24 class winner. The question will be ovals. I think he's young enough still, early enough in his development that he can figure out the ovals. But again, he's 17 years old. Anything could happen. He's still, in many ways, a blank slate. So I've got him in the 3 spot. At number 2, I'm big on Corey Heim. He is so darn consistent. Won 3 races and made it to the championship for his first full-time season in trucks. Probably should have won the championship. And this year he's only got the 1 win, but he has a 3.9 average finish. And he scored his first career top 5 in an Xfinity Series race this year, driving for Sam Hunt Racing. He'll get a taste of the Cup Series this weekend at Dover. I'm very high on Corey Heim. He just talks like a Cup Series driver. But at number 1, he's kind of a balance of 21-year-old Corey Heim and 17-year-old Connor Zilisch. I've got 19-year-old Jesse Love. What's not to love? He did in 9 races what Sheldon Creed couldn't do in 2 years with RCR. That is win a race. Jesse Love has a ton of confidence. He won 10 races in ARCA last year. I think this kid is legit. He's young enough that I think he still has room to grow. He has not reached his ceiling, but he's not so young that I have no idea what we're getting. This kid is already an Xfinity Series winner. I love what I'm seeing from Jesse Love. Gosh, there are going to be so many puns. No pun intended. There you go. There's my hypothetical NASCAR driver draft board. You know, if I had to pick a non non-Cup Series driver under the age of, or 23 and younger, let's say, college age. I'm trying to draw parallels between this and the NFL. Those would be my top 5. I'd probably shuffle things around a bit, but there you go. Let me know if you agree, disagree. A lot of good young drivers in trucks, Xfinity, outside of NASCAR, worth taking a look at. And speaking of the NFL, I saw a clip earlier today. Get ready for the Daytona 500 to potentially be pushed back a week in February in the not so distant future. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell was on with Pat McAfee and hinted that the Super Bowl may get pushed to President's Day weekend, which traditionally falls right around Daytona 500 time. Anyone would be foolish to go up against Super Bowl Sunday, so I would expect NASCAR to react accordingly. They could, I guess, move the Daytona 500 up a week, likely would push it back a week. Will be interesting to see in the next few years, if this happens, how it impacts future NASCAR Cup Series schedule. So a lot of NASCAR and NFL parallels here in today's episode. Now, I want to react to just a couple of clips here from Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour podcast. I actually think it's a great listen. I think he and Mamba Smith, Caitlin Vincey have great chemistry. I think they're fun together, often have interesting conversations. As a relatively new member of the media, myself, I'm always very conscious of the sorts of questions I ask drivers. Like, I'm not afraid to ask a question that may elicit a negative response, but I try not to ask questions that make drivers feel super uncomfortable just for the sake of making drivers feel super uncomfortable. Kevin Harvick now is also technically a relatively new member of the media, but he's a future NASCAR Hall of Famer. He's raced against so many of these guys for many, many years. So he is very used to putting these guys in uncomfortable positions, and that came through this week. Kevin Harvick sat down with all 4 Joe Gibbs Racing Cup Series drivers at once. Kind of an unorthodox format, but he did ask some good questions, got some interesting responses. I'll put a link to the full half-hour interview down below. It's probably worth checking out. But towards the end, there were quite a few awkward moments. Like here, how Christopher Bell refused to talk about him not being allowed to race dirt.
Yeah, I run 36 races a year.
That's it?
That's it.
Why? I mean,
Yeah, well, I guess.
Why are you skipping?
Now, see, you're going to get him in trouble where he's going to get yelled at.
what would you race? Doesn't have to be.
We're going down a wrong path here.
Oh
Ken.
God, I don't even know.
Something on dirt.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
I would rather
You don't
not.
need to be running
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
All right.
Ugh, I got not chills, but like a weird kind of tingle down my back. It looks kind of uncomfortable. As if that moment wasn't awkward enough, Kevin Harvick then asked these 4 drivers straight up,
Who's the better driver, Dale Jr. or Chase Elliott?
That is wrong for you to ask me that.
gosh, that is a gotcha question if I've ever heard one.
Chase Elliott.
It's hard. It's definitely a hard
You
question.
have to pick, though.
Yeah.
You have to pick.
Statistically, I would say Chase Elliott. Right?
Okay. Chase?
Yeah. Gotta go with
I'm going to say Chase as well.
Okay.
Man, a tough spot to be put in. Ty Gibbs is right, though. From a statistical standpoint, yes, Chase Elliott is probably the correct answer. Chase Elliott's a Cup Series champion. He's only 7 wins away from Dale Jr.'s career mark, and he's made like more than 300 fewer starts. Chase Elliott does drive for, arguably the best team in the garage. The era has changed. Dale Jr.'s a 2-time Daytona 500 champion, and he has those 2 Xfinity Series championships to Elliott's 1. But this is a dumb argument. This is a silly question. You can have this argument, but I don't think it's worth getting everyone all riled up. Dale Jr. had a Hall of Fame level career on and off the track, and Chase Elliott is well on his way towards having his own Hall of Fame career. Let's just leave it at that. I appreciate Kevin Harvick trying to spark some interesting conversation. Hey, we need more of that in NASCAR. But the only point of asking that type of question is to try and stir the pot on social media. I guess mission accomplished. He got me to react to it. Dang it. I fell for the oldest trick in the book, walked right into his trap. That's all I've got to talk about, though, this week. Just wanted to catch up on a few interesting, like I said, sound bites, comments, reports from this past week. Tie it into the trending NFL draft. That's going to do it, though. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We talk NASCAR all day, all week, every week, all season, all year long. And a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters as well. I'm not at Dover this weekend, obviously, but I will be at Kansas next weekend. New track for me. Get to check another one off my list. Excited for that. Hope to see you all out there. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday, folks, and a fantastic weekend. I will see you again real soon.